Hello, everyone. I'm John Evans. Welcome to another episode of One-on-One. He takes you on the ride home every weekday, telling you that better is possible. His name is Brandon Hickman, but we all know him better as Bigg B, one of the most recognizable voices and faces in the entire area. You can find him at Coast 97.3, where he's the program director. You can find him at the Community Boys and Girls Club, where he's constantly visiting and mentoring young men and women. You can find him visiting a school in the area, encouraging students to do better. Find him at fundraisers across the area, where he's either entertaining or lending his face and voice to improve the community. But if you can't find him in town, chances are he's somewhere in the eastern half of the United States, either entertaining or helping a new artist launch a career. You are as busy a guy as I have ever seen. You are always going weekends, you're always going nights. Why is it that you work so hard at doing different things, not only for your job, but you do things in the community, you do things to mentor kids? Why is it so important to you to always be on the run?
I think I get that a lot from my mom.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother, they did a lot of stuff, whether it was church or community or school. My mom taught school.
Yeah.
And I think it was important to them to make sure that they showed me that anything that you do, you got to work very hard for it.
Yeah.
And if you're going to work hard for it, then you're going to give it your best.
Yeah.
And sometimes that takes a little extra.
Yeah.
You got to put a little extra time in, and that's what I try to do. I try to show my nephews and folks that are watching that, hey, you're gonna have to put a little bit in to get some more out.
Yeah, but you do your daily weeks, your 5-day-a-week shift.
Right.
And then you were in Atlanta this past weekend.
Yes.
You're all over the place. I see you doing shows all over the place. I mean,
yeah.
Are you like me? I'm not good at saying no. I don't know about you.
That's me.
Yeah, I'm not good at saying no.
I'm not good at saying no, and a lot of times I get it because it might be a fundraiser or something like that.
Yeah.
And I say, you know what, I'm gonna go to that because I think that's very important. So a lot of times I don't pick anything. Some people might just say, hey, B, can you come out?
Yeah.
Can you come to Atlanta? And or can you come do this? And I'm like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. Yeah. You got some clothes or something you can feed me or something, then I'm in there. So, but other than that, I enjoy what I do.
Yeah.
And it just makes me busy. I don't prepare to be busy, but the things that I enjoy, that I'm involved in, will definitely get me busy.
Yeah. You're like me, I think, in that when I came here, Ken Murphy was the anchor here in Wilmington when I came in here.
Yes.
And so if I was going to get anybody to know who I was, I had to get out and do those kind of things.
Exactly. So
you were the same way.
Same way.
Yeah.
When I got to Coast, I actually was on a street team.
Yeah.
And so there were small parades in small towns like Northwest and Pender County. Yeah. And I was like, well, if I'm going to get my brand out there and they know who I am on the air, then I need to be in these parades. And so it just kept going. And so now I really show up to those parades still and enjoy myself. So that's what it is.
What did you want to do when you were growing up in Wilmington? Did you have an idea? I mean, I know you taught for a little bit. I know your mom was a teacher.
Right.
What did you, growing up on that north side, what did you want to do?
I actually wanted to own my own business. Mm-hmm. That was kind of a big thing. When I was growing up on the north side, I was like, I want to own my own business, and I want to bring it back here so I can affect some change. And that was a big thing for me. So when I went to school in Virginia, in Norfolk State, and I majored in business and entrepreneurship, but I minored in music media. So I was like, it's calling me.
Yeah, you even had an idea then.
Right. Yeah. So I got into teaching. I was like, because in our field, in entertainment or in news or broadcasting, you have to wait your turn.
Oh, yeah.
And so I taught during that time, waiting my turn, and then I was able to get into on the ground floor. So it was a great experience for me.
Did you have music? Did you have music around the house? I had music around my house all the time, whether it was polkas, whether it was classical, or whatever it was around my house growing up.
Yeah.
And I got into radio when I was 15. I did small town radio station. My dad knew the guy who owned it. Okay. So I was in radio young, and I knew I had a big mouth and I wanted to talk for a living.
Right.
But did you have music around the house too?
All the time. My mom, people don't know what some people might know what a hi-fi stereo is.
Oh, yeah.
But I had the hi-fi stereo,
Sure.
so she always had records, Stevie Wonders and Earth, Wind and Fires and all this good stuff that I listened to all the time. I remember her buying my first Sony Walkman, which was a cassette tape. I mean, was huge for me.
Oh, yeah.
That was huge.
Oh,
so I always had something on my ears listening. I was involved in band in high school and at the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah.
So I was always into music, and that was my thing. I loved it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I actually thought that I would go into being a radio DJ because, I mean, you're 15, and that's back when we were actually spinning discs for a living, and vinyl's trying to make a comeback now and everything else like that, so everything goes around, comes around.
Exactly.
But, I mean, it was a way of communicating, and for me, I wasn't a cool kid in high school, so it was a me to kind of come out, get my personality out a little bit more. You same way?
Same way. I was a kid. I was the band geek in the class, with the big trombone, awkward, trying to get off the bus with my book bag and my instrument. So it was always, hey, radio or music, it was the thing that kind of made you, okay, he knows what he's talking about. Yeah. So he's kind of cool. He's all right. Yeah. But I was still the awkward guy. So that made me, feel a little bit better about myself, too.
Yeah. Yeah. It was cool because, I like I said, I was one of those geeks, too. But then when I was like 16, I hosted one of those request lines in the afternoon.
Oh, man.
From 6 to 7 at night on an AM radio station.
Wow, okay.
That used to have to go off the air at night. Mm-hmm. And so you'd get your friends to call up, and all of a sudden you went from being that little guy that nobody wanted to have anything to do with to the guy, you better play my song tomorrow.
Right. So you become instant, yeah.
Who were your influences early on?
Oh, man. Influences early on would be definitely all the staff at the Boys and Girls Club, Community Boys and Girls Club. Yeah. Joe Lewis, who actually signed me up to be a member of the drum and drill team. Papa Jack, Earl Jackson, who was in the athletic department. Mr. Adolph Richard, who was the director at the time, and he actually started the entrepreneurship seed. He planted that seed in me because I couldn't get on for junior, what do you call it? JTPA.
Oh, okay.
And I was on JTPA. Right. I couldn't get in it.
Oh, no.
I don't know if it was too late or something. I couldn't get in. Yeah. So what he did, he said, come with me. And we went to the old Parkers or Hills on Market Street.
Okay. Yeah, I know where that is, yeah.
And we went there, and he bought a gang of hot dogs, gang of buns, and some chili, ketchup, and mustard. And he said, sell this at the back, and you can pay yourself per hour out of this.
So you had your own little business.
I had my own little business in the back of the club. It was in the actual kitchen. Not the kitchen that is now, but the kitchen that's the office now. But we were in the back, and I sold that every day during the summer. Yeah. I did that during the summer, and that what raised my entrepreneurship.
I've seen you say, it's been written down in interviews, that had you not been in the Boys and Girls Club, your life would be a lot different now.
It would be a lot different. I said that. I was influenced. A leader is a leader, whether it's good or bad. Yeah. And I was around some good leaders, and I was around some bad leaders. And I say it all the time, if it wasn't for the Community Boys and Girls Club, I probably might be going in your house. Yeah. And so it gave me a place to be constructive. It gave me a place to be creative and a place to learn. And it was a safe place, too, so I could go in. Sure. It was a safe haven. So if there was something going on, I could go to the Boys Club and kind of stay out of it.
Mm-hmm. Do you see those? You mentor a lot of kids now. Do you try to, pay it forward?
Always.
I mean, part of your responsibility?
Always. I think it's very important. I try to mentor. I try to help folks with their senior project because during that time we didn't have a senior project. Right. If you didn't pass your paper, you just didn't pass your paper. Yeah. But I try to mentor some young men and women, and I also try to give back as much as possible through our scholarship fund.
And why is it that I've been in this community now 26 years. You've been in it a little bit longer than I have growing up here. But it seems like there are people who want to mentor, but the kids seem to fall through the cracks all over town. Right. The kids that are turning to the opioids, the kids that are turning to the drugs. What is it in your mind the kids you talk to and the kids you see?
I think I am able to grab them because of who I am. Mm-hmm. Let's say because of what I do. Let's say that.
Right. No,
because of what I do, I'm able to grab their attention a little bit stronger. So I think when, folks that are lawyers or people that have occupations that the kids want to get into, I think that grabs their attention. And I think anyone can be, a mentor to someone in our city. So we can't, there's going to be some that fall through the cracks, and we got to try to get them.
Sure.
But if you can affect change, by what you do and in your occupation or what you do every day, then a child is definitely going to look up to you.
Especially, I mean, they say Bigg B from the radio's here, or John from the TV station,
Right.
from the TV station. It does carry that weight.
It does.
I mean, you're just a guy. I mean, I've known you for years. You're the same kind of guy that I am.
Right.
It's just when you put yourself in that Bigg B, all of a sudden the kids want to,
Right.
gravitate to you, and it's a
Right.
great place to spread your message.
You're correct. And they listen.
Yeah.
And they'll listen. They'll say, you know what? I had a young lady the other day. She said, you know what? About 10 years ago, you came to my classroom in high school, and I'm interested in radio. I'm majoring in radio. I was like, oh, really?
Yeah.
And that makes you feel good. But those things, and what a lot of people have to understand is that's an investment. That seed, what you put in right now, you're not going to see it tomorrow.
Right.
You might see it 5 or 6 years later.
Yeah.
And we have to understand that, too.
I get that every once in a while. Some young guy will come up or a young lady will come up and they say, I was in your son's class and you came in and you read to us,
Yes.
or something like that.
Yes.
And even, because I used to go to, with my schedule and with your schedule the same way, working the hours that we do, we have to kind of take those early in the day times
Right.
to go to lunch, to go to breakfast.
Right.
And I used to go to lunch and read to my kids' classes and then go to lunch with the kids.
Yeah.
And so it was that investment not only for me to see the kids, but
Exactly.
also to invest in some of the other kids in the
Right.
community.
Right.
Now, I'll tell you another story. Sheila and I were out for dinner not too long ago, a couple of months ago, and the hostess at this
Wow.
restaurant came in. We walked in and she said, I remember when you spoke to my class. And I said, well, she said, that was Pine Valley Elementary School.
Wow.
And she was the hostess of a restaurant. I said, well, thank you for making me feel
Feel
older
old, right? I get those too.
than I am right now. You were working at the Boys and Girls Club, rather.
Right.
When you heard something about Coast, now how did you get hooked up with Coast when you were at the Boys and Girls Club?
Oh, so I had just moved back to Wilmington.
Right, you
I
were
had
in
finished
Charleston,
school. I was
you
in
started-
Charleston.
yeah.
And I was teaching school, and I just moved back. And I was volunteering at the Boys and Girls Club, like I usually would do
Right.
if I'm home, because that's like another home to me. So I was volunteering, and there was a sign that went up. There was something, Coast was looking for a street team. And at that time, I had a group of kids that were doing parties at the Boys and Girls Club, and we had wrote a grant to the Source Hip Hop magazine to get kids. It was about marketing and entrepreneurship, and so the kids were like, "Yo, we're interested in." And at that time, it was Coast's 10th anniversary, and so we got the kids together, and we're like, "Hey." I called up and I actually talked to Sandra, who actually was over to the street team.
Yeah.
And I said, Sandra, I got a group of kids that's already ready to go that can street team for you.
Yeah.
And from there was history. So when I came in with this group of high schoolers, they became the street teamers for the 10th anniversary.
Yeah.
And because of that, they said, hey, have you ever thought about radio? And I was like, yeah, but not really. Like, I'm okay. And they're like, no, you really need to think about it. How about helping out with the street team? And I was like, well, I'm a little older, so I don't know. Just like, no, we want you to help out with the street team. And we want you to do this one day a week thing. It's called a Sunday old school session, which are old school records,
Right.
old school hip hop. And
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I know some of the records. If it's 90s, yeah, put me in.
Sure, yeah.
And so the rest was history. And
Yeah.
that's how we started.
And has the business of radio changed since then? I mean, that was only what? That was in 2007 you joined Coast full-time, right?
Yes. So about 03,
03.
2003.
So you're talking 15 years.
Yes.
TV has changed dramatically in that time.
Yes.
Has radio changed dramatically since then?
100%. Technology is changing every day. There was a time where we would put a recorded show in, and we had to record it in real time.
Yeah.
And now you can record. You can put a recorded show in, a 3-hour show in 10 minutes. You just rip and download it.
Yeah.
And so that's one big thing which helps us out a lot. Also, but then you lose staff.
Yeah.
During that time too, so there's not many folks in the building. So you do a little bit more on the street. You do your own editing. You do your own commercials. You cut them. You voice them. All that good stuff. So
Yeah.
that's the big change. So with technology, you kind of cut people out and drop budgets and things like that. But in a good way, you can do it faster.
Yeah. Did you like the personal touch of being there every day for that shift? Or do you
Yes.
like a little bit more of the freedom that you have now?
I like the freedom. I like the freedom where I can get up and go. I feel like I can affect more kids. Like, it's my passion. I can get up and go, and we do something called the EOG tour.
Right.
So I can get up in the middle of the day after my meetings and say, okay, it's 1 o'clock. I don't have to be there at 3. So let's go to whatever school we might go to, talk about taking the test, and then I'm back out and I'm on the air at 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I can shout those kids out. So I can affect those folks beyond the 4 walls I used to be in.
Yeah. Taking over as program director, what was that like? Because I imagine in a large corporation like Cumulus, like our corporation, Raycom,
Right.
You have a best practices.
Yes.
But something that works in another Cumulus market might not work in Wilmington, North Carolina.
You're correct.
So how do you deal with knowing this community, yet being a part of a huge company like Cumulus?
I think the big thing is being from the community, and that helps me out a lot to kind of, you could see the climate, what's going on. Should we talk about that? Should we play this record? I don't know if this record's going to work. I don't know if it's ready for us yet. Let's test it out, and then we'll see if we play it. So it helps out a lot that I'm from Wilmington, and a lot of times that does not happen in corporate America.
Right.
They don't put you in a position because you're from there. They just put you in a position because you're the right person. So I kind of won on both sides. It was a big change. I went from having friends, from my part-timer friends, to being their boss.
Yeah.
And we're still friends and we're still like family. But I still have to make some decisions. Sometimes decisions they don't like, and sometimes decisions that they do like. But it has been a great change, and I'm actually able to go on to conference calls and say, hey, as a PD in my market, this is what's working, and we're kind of in touch with TV.
Sure.
We're in touch with news or newspaper or whatever it might be, so we can get the information out to the people.
Do you get a lot of new artists submitting stuff to you all the time?
Oh, yes.
I follow you on social media, and these young men and women that you're taking pictures with on a daily basis, whether Instagram or Facebook,
right.
You're just like, you're everybody's buddy number one.
Right.
But you do, I think, and tell me if I'm wrong, take pride in kind of giving some of these new artists at least a leg up in this community. And Myrtle Beach, I know you're down there a lot as well.
Yes. What we try to do is, we had a show that was 7 years ago we started called The Limelight, where we played independent artists that were from our area.
Right.
It went away, corporate, I don't know if we should be doing that. And then they said, hey, whatever you have to do to keep your audience, then do it. So I came back and I said, well, we want Limelight back. And so we brought it back in January. Yeah. And we're excited about it. And so that's where you see the artists come in. I'm probably pre-recording for Sunday, and we take pics, and I put the pics up then. But I think it's very important to have the backing of your community before you jump out on the road and say, this is the hottest song. I'd rather for you to tell you, hey, that's not the best record here, before you go out and get told that. And then you get discouraged. Right. So I was like, hey, think about something else. Let's try something else. Not saying that you're a great artist. Try another record or try another beat or a verse or something like that, and let's test it here before you leave. And that's our big thing.
Didn't you get a shout out recently from some young man who was?
Yeah. It's probably Lou Nancy. Yes. He had the #1. He had 2 gold albums in a year. Yeah. And I've known him since he was 16.
Yeah, he gave you a shout out that you posted a video on your Facebook.
Yeah. So I enjoyed him. We actually met in Jacksonville, and he opened up for a group. He was in a group called 336 Boys. And then I had them come to the Teen Summit that we were doing every year, and he performed. And since then, he would come every year, or he'd come every other year. And then I saw him. He called me one day and said, hey, and he said, Uncle, I said, Uncle, who is this? And he was like, this is Luke, man, and I got a new record. I'm in California. They're playing the record. Think about it. And then the actual label called and said, hey, this is Luke Nasty from. I was like, oh, this is Luke from 336 Boys. I said, how old is he now? So he's like 24, 25. Yeah. And he's like, I got a new single, and the single took off. Yeah. And then he had another single right behind it, 2 gold albums in 2 gold singles in one year. And he came back and did a show for us. So, it's great. Yeah. That's great.
And we got young reporters who pass through here, and they're 2 years and they're gone. A Jasmine Turner and Alex Giles, or some of these young reporters that you see come in here and they're brand spanking new.
Right.
2 years later, they're getting jobs in Charlotte and in Richmond and some of those. And it gives you a kick when they do well. I imagine a story like that's got to be the same way for you.
I love it. I love to see that story. I even love to see him here, because I was able to get some hurricane footage from Alex. I was like, you in town? Holla at me, man. I love to see them grow, and I think that's what it's all about. If I can be a teaching situation and get them motivated and plant that seed and they go and grow, I love it.
Yeah. Urban Promotions. Tell me about that. What was the genesis of that?
Urban Promotions kind of started when I came back to Wilmington. And I was like, hey, let's do something that's a little different. That maybe the urban community is not getting. Maybe it's live music. Is it a boat ride? What is it that we're missing as far as the scale of entertainment, the scope of entertainment in the African American community that folks want to do? And they're safe and they're fine with it, and it's something we can do every year. And so I was meeting with Sandra once again, and she was writing down on some sticky notes. She was like, yo, I would love to do a teen summit. And I was like, then let's do it. And she was like, you just can't just do that. And I was like, yeah, we can. I think we can, can't we? Yeah. And it was for teens to voice their concerns. And we started in, if I'm telling you correct, 05. The beginning of 05, there was about 3 murders, I think.
That was, there was a stretch in this.
January 1st, there was a murder, and it was some, and all of them, there was 2 casualties. Either somebody went to jail, someone passed away. Yeah. So you're talking about 6 folks gone just like that before March. So we did something called a Teen Summit, where kids were able to talk to community leaders like the mayor. They were able to talk to Julia Bozeman. We had them on the panel. And then we actually went out and got some guys that had done some things that were wrong in the past and put them on the panel. And that's what started Urban Promotions. And so instead of doing the entertainment aspect of it, we kind of did the social part of it.
Yeah, the community activism.
Yeah, and that took off. So we're like, hey, we're going to do Teen Summit every year. We did 10 years last year. 2 years ago was our 10th year. Yeah. And we're changing it because it's 10 years old. So now you got to change the way you talk to youth because it's not the same. Yeah. Because everybody's so instant. The Snap game, the Instagram is so instant. So now we got to bring it to them.
But also the issues of 2018 are different than the issues of 05.
Most definitely.
You've got opioids here in this community now. You've got school shootings going on across the country. And the kids are worried about their own safety. I still know that there are in this community, there's crime and there's gangs and everything. But, the gang thing was maybe 6 or 7 years ago.
You're correct.
The school safety thing is big now.
That's huge.
In the entire community.
That's huge. And I have to shout out one of my kids, Jessica Franks, who took a charge and was doing the march downtown, which was amazing. And I'm very proud of her and Trey Willis and a couple other kids that are in that. And we have a couple that we mentor, but these are our last kids. They're going to graduate. So now we got to say, okay, how can we help more? But you're correct. The way we talk to them and the things that they're dealing with now, 6 years ago, 10 years ago, they were not dealing with it all.
Yeah, and you're very savvy on social media. How did you develop that? Did somebody kind of, or was it a question or a trial and error kind of thing maybe?
It was trial and error, but was real cool. I went to his convention, and I go every year. It's called the Core DJs. Right. I'm part of Core DJs, and I remember sitting in the meeting, and they were talking about technology and how to brand yourself. And I was like, I got to do that. And we were talking about Twitter. And they were like, yo, if you're not on Twitter, you're losing. All you guys on, and they were like really talking to the DJ. If you're not on Twitter, you're losing. How can you not get booked if you're not on Twitter? And so I was like, let's start. And I started my Twitter, and I started a Coast Twitter illegally, I think, because then I had to turn over all the how to log in and stuff. Yeah. But I started it then. I think Twitter had just started within a year, and that's when I started trying to learn some of the algorithms. When my wife helps me out so much. She's a beast. So she helps me out. Because she understands the Facebook stuff.
Does she keep you grounded like my wife keeps me grounded?
100%. Yes. There's no B in the house. There's only Brandon. And definitely, since college, she's kept me grounded.
Sheila's the same way with me. I mean, even my kids. I mean, they keep me from even thinking that I'm anybody else other than John or Dad.
Yes, that's
around
it.
the house.
That's it.
And people may see us in one segment of the community,
right.
Around the house, there is
That's it.
None of that around the house. What was it like for you then to change? I mean, did you change your personality on the air after wedding and getting married and everything like that?
I think
to me it changed me in the way I approach doing stories.
Right, it did, because now you have a little bit more focus. Now you have when you talk about having fun, now you're talking about having fun with the family. Right. It's a little bit different. Like, can a family afford this? So now when I talk, I can't do that. That doesn't make sense. How can I go to a show that's $100 a person? I can't take the whole family. Right. So now I speak up a little bit more, like, hey, we can't all go to that. And so you have to think differently now when you get married or you have children. So it made me think that way. I don't think my personality, I'm still wild and crazy. And I say certain things and I'm like, I think I should have said that.
I don't want to tell any of B's audience here. He is still wild and crazy. This is the Brandon side of B Talk. You were named in 2018 a Cape Fear gentleman.
Oh,
a gentleman of the Cape Fear.
Yes.
What does something like that mean to you?
I was very honored. I was super honored and humbled that someone would nominate me for that. And then the process, to hear people talk about you in great terms, I was like, oh, that's me? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then you go and they do the painting.
Yeah, your painting was very vibrant colors.
Yeah.
And it was, they do a great job. My wife was nominated and a couple of years ago was named. And it just, to me, it is grassroots people. And that's what I said at the ceremony that night.
Yes.
It is grassroots people like yourself and my wife and some of the others
that
really do the grassroots work in mentoring children and helping the community that I think was well deserved.
Yes,
I don't
thank
think
you
there's
so
anybody
much.
more deserving than you.
I appreciate that. And I enjoyed the picture. I was like, oh, man. That's it.
Where is it hanging?
I think it's still over there. I gotta go get
it. 2009 Southeastern Music Entertainment Program Director of the Year, nominated for the North Carolina Music Awards Radio Personality of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
How did success come to be Bigg B on the air?
I think I have fun. That's the very first thing. And I really feel if you're not having fun, then go home. I really feel that way. Mm-hmm. I mean, if something you like to do, it's your job, and when you say I gotta go to the job today, I think it's okay. It's time for you maybe to look for something else. Mm-hmm. That was the very first thing. I enjoy what I do, and I take my job seriously. So I do look at patterns and Billboard charts, and I'm sitting there looking at the research. But let's have fun too.
Right.
So why can't the promotion part be fun, and then we get serious when we're planning what we're going to play every day or what we're going to say. And I think that's the big thing, just having fun, being in the community, not just being in the community to help, but actually being in the community and stepping back and watching. I saw you at Turkey Trot.
Yeah.
So I just went to Turkey.
Yeah.
I just went to Turkey. I said, you know what? I'm going to walk the Turkey Trot.
Yeah.
The big guy's going to be in there, and I'm just going to be in the community. Let's go.
Yeah.
And so
you've been there the last couple of years.
Yes, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
And I think the responsibility of being somebody in this community who's a voice that is well respected like yourself. I think it's you've got to have fun to show people that it is work, yes, but you can have fun.
Yes.
And be a leader in this community.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And I think we have to tackle the issues that we need to tackle when they come up. Mm-hmm. And we also have to show our silly side as well.
Yeah.
Because that's normal. We're normal.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. Talk to me about Lillianne.
Okay.
I don't believe I ever had the pleasure of meeting her, but you do something for her every year.
Yes.
And so many people speak fondly of your mother and the influence that she had. For 40 years she taught school.
Yes. So oh man, where do I start without going on a tangent?
Everybody who, you've done such great work, and I want to get into the foundation here.
Right.
But, tell me about Mom, because she influenced thousands of lives. Mom
was first generation college student. Let's go back. So my mom grew up in the North Side. My grandmother raised her and my uncle, and she was the youngest, and she went to Williston. And maybe shout out that Williston class of 1964.
There you go.
I got to shout them out.
Yeah.
So she went to Williston. So she went to school during the time of segregation.
Yeah.
Williston had not been integrated yet. 4 years later, it was to be integrated. Mm-hmm. She also went to Fayetteville State University. And there, I think she was told or felt that she was limited at that time during segregation. African-American women, she was like, I either could be a nurse or a teacher. It wasn't really too many things I would strive to, or they kind of held me back from. So I was like, I want to be a teacher. Mm-hmm. And so she started teaching school. She started in this, they had this thing called a teacher cottage or something, if I remember her telling me. And she taught in Durham for a little while. Then she rested in Jacksonville at Southwest Onslow.
Oh, I know that school
well. The opening. Yeah. So when Southwest Onslow opened, the next year I was born. And so she was there for a while, and then she retired. Really didn't semi-retired, then came to Wilmington, and then she taught for another 20 years. She taught for another 20 years at Myrtle Grove.
Yeah.
Myrtle Grove Middle School. So that was her thing. Her thing was, your education can change your situation. I heard that every morning. I heard it every morning coming from a teacher. I heard, where's your math homework? That was the first thing. And education can change the situation, and wake up, you sleepyhead, because that was me every day. So that was a big thing. My mom was involved in the church. She was involved in the community. Yeah. She saw that I was involved in the Community Boys and Girls Club, so she became one of those parents that volunteered, that helped out, that was in the office at the Boys and Girls Club on weekends and things like that. So she definitely encouraged me to always give back, and that was like, she was like my biggest cheerleader, period, 100%. Even when I got in the radio, she would always say, I don't want to be that mom, but the Manhattans are coming to, or, Patti LaBelle's coming to the Azalea Festival. Can you? I was like, Mom, you can ask for anything you want to. Yeah. But she was very, education was her thing, 100%. And when she retired, I think in 2009 or 2010. When she retired, she still worked at 21st Century Learning Lab.
Wow.
And volunteered.
She was an educator through and through.
100%. Yes, 100%.
When did you decide to try to do the foundation and the scholarship and everything else like that for Mom?
So my mom passed in 2011, in May of 2011, and my wife, I had to put on the smile. Something's going on at home, and you come to work, you have to be John Evans, the anchor. You know what I mean? So I'm like, Bigg B, all right, let's go. And I'm at home not really knowing that I was depressed. Yeah. I was dealing with some serious depression because that was my mom, you know what I mean? Sure. I'm a mama's boy. And so my wife said, hey, why don't you do something in her honor? And I was like, no, how you throw it off. She's like a fashion show or something. I was like, why a fashion show? And we said, why a fashion show? Because when we went to clean out Mom's house, there was like 10 bags of shoes, 10 55-gallon bags of shoes, and then it was like 11 bags of clothes. We were like, oh my God, what are we gonna do with all this stuff?
She loved her fashion.
Oh, what? What? And everything matched, and we were like, oh man, so what are we gonna do? So, him and then Han, I was like, okay, let's try it. Mm-hmm. And so she said, let's do it on your birthday. And does that meaningful? And I was like, yeah, it's very meaningful because on this birthday, I won't get that call, wake up, you sleepyhead. I won't get that. Yeah. So let's try that. And so we went for the first year, 2012 in January, and I said, let's give all the money to a kid that want to go to school. Yeah. And that was the very first thing we did. And a young lady named Bradley, she won. She was at Wilmington Early College. And so we just had a good time. But what we did was we brought people in that knew my mom. Shouts out to Francis. Francis came through, and the mayor, and just a lot of folks that we had in the building. We had a couple of our students, former students, that were models. And from there, it's just exploded. It's amazing. And we do it once a year.
But to be able to do that, to honor your mom, and to give a young lady or a young guy the opportunity and some help to go to college, it's just you really couldn't do anything any better.
Yeah, thank you. And I think that was amazing. It was a brainchild of my wife's, and it was, I just said, yeah, let's do it, and let's go forward with it. And from there, it just had wheels of its own, mind of its own. So
it's got to make you sit up a little bit taller.
Yes, and we enjoy it. And we went from just doing maybe trying to get 1 or 2 scholarships to now we got like 3 or 4 every year, and we're excited about it.
And you see those kids, they come back to you later?
Yes, and talk trash to me, but it's all good. But they have a good time. They enjoy themselves, and we limited it to education, and I just couldn't do it because kids want to go to school, and all of them don't want to be educators, but they want to go to school. Yeah. So if I could help them go to school through having a good time at a fashion show, let's try to do that, and that has been a great thing.
If better is possible, good is not enough.
100%.
When did you come, and where did you come up with that?
Not me. There's a young lady that I met at New Hanover High School. She was my 10th grade advanced English teacher. And I would write a paper. She would give me it back, and it would be all red. And she was like, if you can do better than this, this is just good. You can do better than this. And she used to say it every day in my 10th grade year. And then my 11th grade year when I didn't have her. And then in my 12th grade year. And then in college, she was like, don't you think you could do better than that? And I was like, yes, ma'am. Her name is Dr. Diane Emerson. And Dr. Emerson used to be on me all the time, which she still is to this day. So I took it off. If Better is Possible is my, Good is Not Enough is my moniker, but I cut it off and just say Better is Possible.
Yeah.
Because I think anything that we do in life, if we feel we could do a little bit better, if we give a little bit more effort, you have a better outcome.
Yeah.
And so I got that from her being in 10th grade, and it stuck with me so this far. So
that's awesome that you're able to use something like that, and that small little seed that somebody planted has flourished as well, and as well as you have done, and a leader in this community.
Thank you.
How much is Brandon like Bigg B, and how much is B like Brandon?
That's a great question. I think B is a little more like Brandon a little bit. He's the guy that, if the Giants win a game and nobody likes it, I'm still gonna wild out and have a good time in the house. That's the part of me that's B. Brandon, that's B, is I'm willing to give of my time if it's worthy. If it's worthy to help someone else out, whether it's a child, whether it's a good cause, I am willing to do that.
Yeah,
100%.
And I got to know your secret because, like I said when we were walking in this booth, you have found either a 25th hour in the day or an 8th day of the week because you literally are everywhere. Everywhere I turn, you're on a poster, you're promoting this, you're doing car commercials now, you're all over the place.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Doing all kind of stuff. How do you find the time?
You have to definitely plan it. You have to definitely plan. You have to have an understanding wife. That's very important. You got to have an understanding wife and nephew, because my nephew stays with me now. And we have to carve out time. Mm-hmm. And my nephew definitely makes sure we carve out time. Hey, is it family night tonight? Because you weren't here yesterday, so I'm thinking that today is the day. And so I even got that question this morning and taking him to school. I was like, yeah, we got to go to the movies because we missed the movies this weekend. So we have to carve out time and plan it. And being understanding. And what's crazy is that they're just as involved as I am.
Yeah.
My wife is just as involved, in the community as I am, with her being a part of the YWCA and all that good stuff. Yeah. So we have to carve out time for family, and then time for just me and her, and then time for just me and my nephew, and then, of course, the job is the job.
Isn't it amazing that we, as men, gravitate to women who not only make us better, but help make us better?
Yes, 100%.
You know what I mean?
For real.
That's the way my wife is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and because it's always a, hey, did you do that? Did you?
Yeah.
You didn't take your business cards? See, I'm trying to get on you. Your business cards are in your wallet, blah blah blah. So those are some great things. Those are some great things that they do.
I got to ask you before you walk out of here. You got to tell me some secrets about some of the people you have on there. Sandra, I've known Sandra for a long time.
Oh,
but
man.
You got to tell me some secrets about some of the guys you have over there on there, like Sandra. Tell me something that not many people know about her.
She plays video games.
Oh, really?
A lot of people don't know she plays video games heavy, like PlayStation video games. If you put it in front of her, she's pretty good. But nobody knows this. But she'll sit down and play video games. She's like, "Oh, I got to do so and so." You're like, "Really?" Because a lot of people wouldn't think that Sandra, girly girl. But she definitely loves video games, and she's definitely she loves to dance. She loves to dance. And
she's another one very involved in the community.
Super involved in the community.
She's done a lot with Q Center with Monica Casey with the Q Center a lot too.
And we hear that often in the hallways. Yeah. Hey, Monica's coming in, or hey, I need to do this spot because they're celebrating or having a conference.
Yeah.
And that's cool. One of my other DJs, Shay Boogie, rides motorcycle. A lot of people don't know that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's a part of a motorcycle club.
Oh, there you go.
People don't know. DJ Mike Lang, who's actually our night DJ, is actually our assistant engineer. And
really?
He's very smart, yeah.
Well, that way you can make yourself handy.
Right.
Something goes wrong, you can fix it.
Yeah, so people you at least expect to do stuff, like they do a lot around the area.
Yeah,
so cool.
I mean, you are, like I said, you are super busy and all over the place, and I appreciate you carving out a little bit of time for me.
For John,
and
anything.
We wish you the continued success and being a leader in this community. That's, I think, you're great on the air, you're great in mentoring people, but you're a leader in this community. And I think that's what you do best.
Thank you.
Of all of it.
Thank you. I appreciate you, man.
Big shout out and thanks to Bigg B for coming in and sharing some of his valuable time on the podcast. You can learn more about Bigg B on coast973.com, and he's all over social media. On Twitter, it's I am Bigg B. On Instagram, it's Bigg B1906. And on Facebook, he's got two pages actually, the Bigg B page and Brandon Bigg B Hickman. And that's where he posts a lot of the concerts and other appearances he's going to make, not just here in Wilmington, but all across the southeastern part of the United States. Busy guy. Once again, thanks to Bigg B for coming in this week. Next week, another radio host. And this guy talks to a national radio audience for 2 hours every weekday. Joshua Johnson, the host of the show 1A on NPR.
I think I felt very on, and I felt like every show was highly consequential, but I knew there was more important work to do. Plus, I didn't know if the show was going to be a hit. Like, we could have taken over for Diane Rehm, and I could have worked my first year, and they said, thank you for your services, we're going to go in a different direction. So, you know, I just tried to kind of keep it in perspective. Just play today like it's Game 7, and then set that aside, review my performance, and then play tomorrow like it's Game 7. And then set that aside and review my performance and then play tomorrow like it's Game 7. And if we do that, then we'll have something to get excited about.
That's Joshua Johnson of 1A next week right here on our podcast. If you know someone who you think would be a great interview for an upcoming episode, please, I'm asking you to let me know about it. Send me an email, jevans@wect.com. Also asking you to please subscribe to the One-on-One with John Evans podcast. That will help our numbers, and you'll get a notification as soon as that new episode is released every Saturday. And if you leave us a rating or a review of what you thought about this week's episode or any of the others that you've heard so far, and you send me a screenshot of the rating or review by email, you could be the lucky listener we pick at random, and we'll send you one of those great-looking WECT travel mugs. I'm John Evans. Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode of One-on-One.